What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for February 11th, 2023. We are so close. We are so close. In just 24 hours, it's going to be Super Bowl Sunday. So be patient. Good things come to those who wait. It's been painfully dragging. The anticipation is just through the roof, but we will get there. We'll get through it. All right. So for today's Philly Sports Black History Spotlight, we're going to take a look at Bill Ellerbee. He was the basketball coach for the boys at Simon Gratz for 20 years, from 1982 to 2003. During that time, he compiled a 452 and 100 record. He won 6 public league titles. That his 1993 team went 31-0. They were led by Rasheed Wallace. He was National Coach of the Year. At one point, he had like a 107-game public league winning streak, 134 games straight overall they won. He coached Aaron McKee, also Temple guys Leonard Stewart and LeVan Austin, who you might know LeVan Austin from his son Shiz playing for Temple. St. Joe's star Marvin O'Connor. He finished out his career. He coached with John Chaney at Temple. He led his academic sort of side of things when he was there with Coach Chaney, and kind of really tied in with what Bill Ellerbee stood for. He was always an education-first coach, so there was always 1 hour of homework or tutoring before every game and practice just to make sure everybody was making their grades and just really he wanted to make sure that these guys had something other than basketball. And you don't see that a lot, especially today with the college, the way things are with the NIL deals. It's all about winning, making money, and everything like this. But Bill Ellerbee was a really old school guy. He was like, get your education and have something to kind of fall back on. He also worked with the Philadelphia Department of Recs and Services and just organized so many programs for youth within the city. He definitely was a leader of men and a mentor to many people. Coach McKee talks about all the time the impact that the guys like like Bill Ellerbee and John Chaney had just on his life. Not so much the basketball aspects, but just his life in general. And this is the kind of guy that Bill Ellerbee was. As I was researching and kind of looking up for different things over the past week, it just nobody had a bad thing to say about this guy. So like he just meant so much to so many kids in the city. So shout out to you, Mr. Ellerbee, for all that you have done for the youth in Philadelphia, specifically the North Philly area, the kids that go to Simon Gratz. It was way more than basketball with him. He was focused on education, making them men, and he reminds me a lot of John Chaney. So thank you, Bill Ellerbee, for all that you have done. All right, Sixers update. And they got off to another slow start. It looked like they were sleepwalking through that game against the Knicks in the first half. And they would make a run when they opened the second half, but the Knicks came back, and it just, like I said, it seemed like they were flat. And then there was one sequence where they came down. I think Niang, I forget who hit the three. Maxey comes right back, steals it. It was like a quick 5-6 point turnaround, and all of a sudden the spark came, and they just kind of ran the Knicks then the rest of the way out of the building. So hopefully that is a sign of things to come for the Sixers. Still waiting to see with the buyout market if there's a backup center, like something. They still need a couple pieces, but I mean, it's all going to come down to how well Joe, James, and Tyrese kind of play together. They didn't make the big splash at the trade deadline. I'm not sure they needed to. And like I said, after that spark, that's that team. If they're playing like that all the time, nobody is beating them. But the problem is getting them to that point. So hopefully they snap the 2-game losing streak. Hopefully this is a sign or a symbol of something that's going to come leading into the All-Star break and then ultimately the home stretch of the season. But good win by the Sixers, 119-108 over the Knicks down at the FU Center last night. All right, Eagles update. be sure to check out Back to the Future this week if you have not yet. It's our Super Bowl preview. Go down, break it down position by position, recap the season, take a look at the picks from this earlier from our Eagles season preview. So be sure to check that out, Back to the Future with a PH, wherever you get your podcast. And speaking of picks, this is new territory because there's, I would say, a little over half. Like, depending on which site or which place you go to, a little over half of the people are picking the Eagles. I know CBS is really big on the Chiefs, but I think that makes sense because CBS covers AFC games. Like, I don't know. And everywhere I'm seeing, everybody's like, oh, it's going to be a close game. It's going to come down to this. It's going to come down to this. I'm going to give my pick tomorrow, and I think I have a lean, but it still is making me nervous that so many people are picking the Eagles and the Eagles are the favorite. But remember when we were going back during the Phillies World Series run, and we kept saying about it being new Philly. Listen, this is new Philly. It's okay. We're allowed to be favorites. It does not happen often, but enjoy it. It's okay. You can say, I think the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl and not be fearful of anything jinxing. So it's okay. I'll get more into the pick tomorrow, but at this point, it's just I'm ready for football. I did want to mention a couple things with teams, fans. The Chiefs did it. I mean, and there was a point where there was a Chiefs shirt on the Rocky statue, and everybody's like, oh, it was an inside job, and the Eagles fan did that. And no, the picture then circulated of the Chiefs fan who put it on there doing the Rocky pose. So if you believe in things like that, it wasn't as big of an event as what the Giants and 49ers did, but there was still a Chiefs jersey on the Rocky statue. Now, speaking of the Niners, and then I'm going to move on from this, I have never in my life seen a team just so butthurt and bitter over a game my entire life. They're still chirping and talking trash and saying, oh, if Brock Purdy didn't get hurt and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but guess what? He did. And I got news for you. I don't think it would have been the blowout. I forget who it was yesterday. He said they would have blown him out. But let's just leave it at that. And I've never seen a fan base of more sore losers ever. And we've had our fair share of shitty losses in NFC Championship games. I don't think we've gone this far this long. Granted, most of the time it was things that our players did, but I don't know. Anyway, this day in Philly sports history, we're going to go back to February 11th, 1985. The number 19 Villanova Wildcats lost to the number 2 Georgetown Hoyas 57-50 for the second straight time that season. This was in the middle of Villanova's collapse that year. It was they were in the second loss to Georgetown, but it was their second in a row, and it was like they were in a stretch of where they lost 4 out of 5 heading into the Big East tournament. In this game, future NBA players Harold Presley had 14 points, 10 boards. Dwayne McClain and Ed Pinckney each added 7. They were both also going to play in the NBA. So the Nova Wildcats were not hot going into the Big East tournament. They did get to the semis. They lost. Went into the tournament as an 8 seed. They had to go to Dayton and play Dayton in the first round. But they got on that magical run. They beat Dayton, Michigan, Maryland, UNC, and Memphis State, and then eventually Georgetown to win the national championship, which I know everybody knows about, but listen to this. They beat the number 7, the number 5, the number 2, and the number 1 ranked teams and Dayton in that tournament to get to the finals. So kudos to the 85 Wildcats as much as it kills me. That was the perfect example of a team getting hot at the right time. Just a little side note, and I forgot about this. It was the only time 3 of the 4 teams in the Final Four were from the same conference. So it was, I think, Georgetown, Nova, and St. John's was the other team. So it's never happened since then. It might happen this year with the Big 12, but we will, I don't know. But on this day, Villanova lost to Georgetown 57-50. Shout out to Bill Ellerbee. Go Birds. We got one more day. Have yourselves a Saturday, and I'll see you when I see you.